Get ready to dive into the comic book realm where heroes rise and villains take the helm. We're here to dissect the stories and the art. On source material, we tear the panels apart.
We are back on the Source Material Comics podcast. We're going to be talking about some Joker tonight. Now, didn't we do some Joker stuff in the past? Or maybe I'm thinking Lex Luthor. I know we did like 3 Lex Luthor stories, I think is what we did.
Over the course of doing source material between the two of us, we've done a lot of Joker. There's been quite a number of Joker talk, just Batman talk in general, which inevitably leads to Joker talk. If you'll recall, way back, Everyone Loves a Bad Guy, I did Everyone Loves a Bad Guy about the Joker. Then Pat did one about Dr. Doom, and there was a contest to see how many listeners each had. And added to the list of things people won't let me live down, that his show about Dr. Doom did better than my show about the Joker, sons of bitches.
That's funny.
But when you were Essential, I did a review with Chris Sheehan and Alexis Hana, and Chris Sheehan has never forgiven me for it, where we did the 3 Jokers.
Yes. Okay. All right. I remember you guys talking about that. I know that there's definitely been some big Joker Batman stories that we've talked about on here, including, oh my goodness,
Death of the Family review.
Yeah, me and Teasley did, and I think somebody else was involved there too, where we talked about Death in, Death of. We also talked about the seminal moment where Barbara Gordon gets shot by the Joker, which all of a sudden I cannot remember the name of that.
Killing Joke.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm 99.9% certain in the old days you did a Killing Joke.
Yeah, so
you definitely did the Long Halloween, which is less a Joker story than it is a
big Batman rogue story is what that is. Like everybody's showing up in that thing.
Right.
You found 3 Joker stories here. We're going to start out with Joker Killer Smile, but why don't you let the audience know what prompted you to do this?
I don't remember how I ended up with Joker Killer Smile. Joker is one of my favorite comic book villains of all time. I like the Joker because of all the Batman Rogues gallery, he's the one that's most psychological in an interesting sense. He's not Baby Darkseid, but he's not the Penguin or the Riddler or Two-Face. Like, him and Bane both have a thing. It's like, we don't just want to rob banks and get rich. We see Batman and his destruction as a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this with City of Bane, where it wasn't just about beating him. It was about tearing him down, making him doubt himself, breaking him psychologically so that he could never recover and do what he ends up doing. Joker, he's kind of like if a terrorist performance artist and a full-blown antisocial narcissist all had a baby. He's chaotic evil. He's not about enriching himself. We're going to see this series of books we're going to talk about tonight is a better version of the 3 Jokers than the 3 Jokers.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's interesting.
Joker Killer Smile really gets into Joker as sort of a psychological terrorist.
Oh, yeah.
It reminds me of the short story that I always reference about, the one where the one guy's treating him, and at the end, like, Joker takes his face and go home and, like, rapes and kills his family, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's everyone kind of goes into like, oh, he's just another insane person, and isn't it a good godly thing that we try to cure these people? And Joker just turns you on yourself, and in the end, he leaves you broken. And like, that's what he does. The puzzle box is more of the performance art. I think he sets up these elaborate, murderous schemes not to enrich himself, but just because what is life but to create art?
Right.
And then the Joker War Saga is about trying to break Batman. You started to ask me why these 3 books. My answer was I love the Joker character, so I was looking for encapsulated Joker stories. Joker Killer Smile was a 3-issue Black Label one-shot. I don't remember why or how I got it. Might have been a Christmas present from a few years back. It's been sitting on my shelf forever. I'm like, because we've been doing these every other month or so, long recording sessions of multiple books. I was like, I got to get this one off my shelf. So then I just started looking for other encapsulated Joker stories, and I happened to see the puzzle box one, and it's a great whodunit. Who killed the Riddler? Who killed the Riddler?
Right. Who killed the Riddler?
That's what's being asked here. Who killed the Riddler? And we'll talk about what happens in the book. And then the Joker War Saga is just more of, this is Rebirth Batman. And it's the James Tynion run after Tom King. And it's one of these like crossover stories. It's like 5 issues of the main Batman comic. It's about how Joker basically, what if I just steal everything from Bruce Wayne and Batman? What if I steal his company, steal his money, steal his Batman stuff? What if I take everything that makes Batman Batman and turn it against the city? Then what? Well, yeah. How would that work? Also, let me fuck with your head using neurotoxins and get you to see the ghost of your dead dad figure.
Yeah. It gets pretty warped.
He builds on the City of Bane stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I hope that answered your question or not at all.
No, it did. That's perfect. I mean, Killer Smile. I didn't know what we were going to get here. I recognize the name Jeff Lemire just from other people talking about him and some of the stories that he has done. So he's pretty impactful, pretty popular writer. Andrea Sorrentino is our artist here. Jordi Belair, I've heard his name quite a bit as far as colors go, and Steve Wands on letters. This came out, I believe the trade came out in 2019. It was right around Halloween of 2019. So I didn't know what we were going to get. It's the Joker. Usually what you're thinking is it's going to be Joker versus Batman. That is not happening here until the very end. This is a long psychological trip that happens for a person who's trying to, he's going to cure. He is going to cure the Joker.
He's going to do what no one has done before.
Right.
And people have either become insane gymnastic criminals or murderers themselves or died trying. It's the hubris, Jesse. It is amazing. I understand why they keep the Joker around because he's popular in his own right. And the idea is to sell books. In real life, they'd have killed him dead. He would be dead 80 times over. They would have eventually sent him to that world's version of prison. They would have sent him to Blackgate, and he'd have been killed 80 times. There would have been some payola. He'd have been stabbed in the shower and gutted and have his remains nailed to the bathroom wall.
Yep. Yeah. What's going to happen here in Arkham? We have Dr. Ben Arnell, or I believe is his name. All right. So what I'm going to do is sit back, relax. I'm going to read you a synopsis here of what occurs in Joker Killer Smile, and then we'll have some points to discuss. I really like this. So here we go. Dr. Ben Arnell, a psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum, believes he can achieve the impossible, curing the Joker. His colleagues warn him that Arkham consumes good men, but Ben is convinced he can break through the Clown Prince's madness. As he spends more time inside the asylum, his grip on reality starts to fray. At home, his wife Anna and son Simon sense his growing detachment. Then one night, Simon pulls out a book Ben doesn't remember buying, Mr. Smiles and the Happyville Friends, a grotesque children's story filled with eerie, violent imagery. The Joker's influence has begun seeping into Ben's life, and the walls between reality and nightmare start to blur. The Joker plays his usual games, taunting Ben about his family, twisting words until the psychiatrist begins questioning his own memories. Time itself becomes unreliable. Has he been working the case for weeks or years? Hallucinations haunt him, laughter echoing through his home, grotesque smiles appearing on the faces of loved ones, and visions of the Joker turning his world inside out. As Ben spirals deeper into paranoia, he wakes up in strange places, unsure how he got there. His mind fractures under the weight of the Joker's psychological warfare. Desperate for answers, Ben races to Arkham in the middle of the night, demanding the truth. The Joker delivers the final blow. Ben hasn't been treating him. He's been his patient, the Joker's patient. Whether it's a lie or a terrible truth, Ben's sanity shatters. He sees his own reflection change, his face transforming into a grotesque grin. The Joker hasn't just broken him, he's remade him. In a final act of surrender, Ben paints his own face like a clown, embracing the madness that has consumed him. Heading back to Arkham, Ben helps orchestrate a breakout, giving many of its residents the chance to escape, including the Joker. Now fully lost, Ben heads to the new address of his former family, gun in hand, prepared to prove who he really is. But when his son greets him with a painted face mirroring his own monstrous transformation, something inside him cracks. The illusion collapses, and when the dust settles, Batman stands over what remains of Ben Arnell, a man physically alive but mentally destroyed, another casualty of the Joker's endless game. Locked away in Arkham, Ben stares into the void, trapped in the very institution he once believed he could master. The Joker, meanwhile, is free, ready to spread his twisted laughter once again. Gotham will never smile the same way again. All right. So we get ourselves a nice... I dug this story because, number one, DC Black Label, big fan, because they take characters from the DC universe and they tell stories that are not canon, and they can get twisted. But DC Black Label, I was like, man, what are we going to get here? What is Jeff Lemire going to do? And I was not disappointed. You got any thoughts, any notes on Killer Smile?
Sure. This is my most favorite kind of Joker. The psychological warfare type Joker, the Hannibal Lecter type Joker. You know, people come in and they think they can match wits with the Joker, and everyone ends up just getting eaten alive by him. And I was thinking, as you were talking, I was thinking about how the Joker can't dine on Batman alone. He needs other food to eat. So whether it was Harley Quinn or this doctor or others who have tried with the Joker, he's always up for the game because a man can't dine on cheeseburgers alone. And while the Joker loves Batman to the degree that a psycho can love anybody, Joker and Batman are like Frodo and fucking Gollum. You know, they are just intrinsically tied together, and they're both going, you know, they are destined to go over the falls in the lava at the end of all things. No matter how obsessed the Joker is with Batman, Batman always finds a way back, and he's always thwarting Joker's plans. It wasn't necessarily a Joker book, but this is the conversation we had with Injustice, where the Joker got kind of bored with Batman, and he started fucking with Superman, and Superman was so easy to push over the edge.
Oh, yeah.
Tiny little push, you know, a little murder of Lois Lane, a little nuking of Metropolis, and Superman becomes a tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that made Superman dies, and he becomes a crazy tyrant, turning half of the DC universe against him. It was the Joker who did that, and was happy to die. Was happy to die for the cause. If you remember the way that they did that story, Superman kills him in the interrogation room, and the Joker's laughing the entire time. It's like, finally, I win, because it's not about living. It's not about fulfillment for Joker. It's about he's a shark. Sharks have to eat. Sharks have to keep swimming. And that's it. He's a force of destruction. And the way the Joker eats is he turns sane people insane. I always thought the best representation of the Joker on screen, I know some people, this is a controversial statement, but Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight to me is probably the best interpretation of the Joker character. His line about, you know, I'm like a dog chasing a car. I wouldn't know what to do if I caught it. It's not about the end game. It's about the journey for Joker. And so some do-gooder comes, and yes, there would be a certain amount of fame and notoriety that would go with curing the Joker. And what's life without challenge? And so what's the biggest challenge out there? It's the Joker. So let's see if we can cure this murderous madman. And I do like the concept of what are we doing at Arkham if we're not trying to rehabilitate people? Are we just another warehouse of humans?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're not trying to rehabilitate people, I've had this issue working in correctional healthcare for the last 10 years. It starts to become like, what are we doing here? If we're not trying to rehabilitate people, what is the point of this? Is it just to warehouse people and keep them off the street? Because there's easier ways to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and Arkham Asylum is this place where you're supposed to restore people to sanity. And so this guy comes in and he was like, well, what's the biggest threat out there? It's the Joker. I'm going to commit myself to helping this guy. And Joker just tears him to pieces.
Yeah. Right. And he has no idea.
You don't even know what's happening. Joker is like quicksand.
Exactly, dude. That is what's great about this book, is that you're mostly following Ben throughout his life and his daily routine, and you're thinking, well, everything's just fine. You know, I want to root for this guy. He's going to try and change. He's going to try and cure the Joker. But yeah, you as the reader, sometimes you have no idea. You just know things are starting to get really weird. Like, what is going on here? Why does this kid have this book? Why does his family start looking like the Joker? Why does he not want the kid to go down the basement? There's just all sorts of things that are really just, this isn't right. Something's wrong. Something is wrong. As I was doing my due diligence in having the AI read the comic and make notes for me, I made sure to tell ChatGPT, this was a pretty good book. What were your thoughts? There was a quote I had to yank out of there, because usually it's just me talking to the AI and getting all my personal thoughts out there and trying to hone everything in. But there's quote that I'm going to quote what ChatGPT said. It said, Ben was doomed from the very first conversation.
Right.
He didn't just talk to the Joker. He let the Joker talk to him. And that was like, oh, wow, you're right. As soon as the Joker opened his mouth, he started working on him. You start to see this stuff that is breaking Ben as things go forward. One of my notes was, and I wanted to ask you, do you think Ben was mentally okay when he sat down to talk with the Joker? Or do you think the Joker was just this small push that he needed to fall into becoming mad?
There's no way to know that, because you don't know enough about Ben before he saw the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
But I would assume a licensed mental health worker, somebody with enough fame and professional experience to have gotten the gig to work with the Joker, was relatively sane before he got it.
You would think, right.
But I also think that's what makes the Joker, is to take people who are coming from a good, solid place and shatter them. Just imagine you go into this innocently enough, and the Joker tells you one lie after another, makes you question your own sanity. Joker is like the ultimate gaslighter. Gaslighting is the act of making you question your own reality.
Right.
And that's ultimately the way Joker gets in.
He starts talking to you, kind of manipulating you, make you think one thing. How did you get this book to my son? One of my favorite parts is the fact that he thinks he's been there for weeks, and it turns out it's been years that he's been trying to do this over and over and over. So he's lost concept of time. I have a theory. I had this theory, and it's kind of falls back on this question I had for you. There's a point when he's at home, and I mentioned how his son wanted to go down to the basement, and he grabbed his son. And he's like, "Don't ever go down there." I thought at first, I was like, okay, he's got all the Joker files down there or something crazy. Then it occurred to me, what if this dude's actually a legit serial killer or something? Maybe that's why he would
Don't go in there. That's where I keep the bodies.
I was thinking, well, he's already turned. I don't know if we ever learn what's down in the basement. I feel like we do see some folders and some pictures of the Joker. But anyway, I remember reading that going, oh, man, maybe he's actually a killer in some way. But yeah, the big reveal when you find out that Ben's been alone this whole time and he's been imagining his wife and son at home and there's dishes stacked up on the sink and nobody's there. I got to give this thing high marks for that because I was really into this book. I was sucked into the story. It's only 3 issues long. I don't think the issues are too long. It was a quick read.
I breezed by it.
Yeah, this was definitely a good story told by Jeff Lemire. The art by Andrea Sorrentino lends itself to this story. Like that is one thing I will definitely say that you got to pick the good artist for the story that you were going to tell. And this did a good job of doing just that. So that's kind of all the notes that I have here. Any other things that popped up in your mind as far as Joker Killer Smile goes?
I like the book. This is the kind of Joker that I like. It's, like I said, it's a short story. It's a very short read. I think the only thing I would say about it is with a story like this, you never quite know because you're dealing with an unreliable narrator, which is, boy,
that's coming up.
Wait till we get to the next book. If you think about like The Usual Suspects, where there's always that scene at the end where you take a step back and see how Verbal Kent constructed his story.
Right.
And it turns out he's Kaiser Sose. It's like, they get you right at the end, and they take you back. Like, this is how we got here. These are all the clues. There's always that scene at the end of these kinds of movies where we have to go back and revisit things. Ooh, did you catch all of these details? That's missing from the story. I do think it's harder in a comic book than it is in a movie to do that thing, but it is doable. It's also, I think, more common in movies than it is in comics.
Yeah, I agree 100% there. Batman does show up. Batman shows up for like a quick second to essentially pound the Joker's face.
I love Batman books that don't have Batman in them.
He shows up for like a quick second. Joker does this thing where he's like, you got to choose me or you got to choose so-and-so who's going to, Dr. Arnell, who's going to go home and kill his family.
Is that going to come up again?
Yes, it is. Batman shows up there at the home. And of course, at that point, when he recognizes his son being in the same room, that's when Dr. Arnell drops the gun.
You and I have talked about this before. Robin and I have talked about this before. It's a common enough subject over the years that we've been doing this. The concept of like the one bad day.
Oh, yeah.
You and I don't remember which show it was, but you and I just kind of going back and forth. Oh, it might have been one of the David Simon shows. We have family, we have jobs, we have stability, we have homes, we have stuff. You think you've got it. And you're like, well, I would never do anything crazy. It's where you get people who do horrible things that should be thrown in a dungeon and locked there forever. And then you lose your job, you lose your family, you lose your home. That concept of the one bad day, that falling down thing. Are you able to turn the other cheek? Are you able to stay devoted to God and his word? Or do you become the Joker? Do you become a murderer or something in between? Do you give in to drug addiction? Do you end up lying in an alley somewhere in Italy and getting raped by your rich employer? That's a nod to The Brutalist, by the way.
Oh, okay. Got it.
That was in case Robert's watching. That was a wink at him. Rape the manhood back into you. What?
I don't understand.
Stop it, Guy Pearce.
But wait.
This is not the way. Anyway, you go into this thing like, I'm a learned, educated man. I have a family. I have my wits about me. I am a master of psychology. And then you meet the Joker, and it's more than one bad day. And then you're painting your face like the Ultimate Warrior and running around killing people.
I think what Lemire does tremendously well in this book is when you go insane, the fact that you may not know you're going insane is probably going to be what occurs. You are going to have no idea.
Because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you.
You're not going to know. And I think that's what's scariest about this book is Dr. Arnell has no idea, and nobody else would. I don't think many other people would either. A descent into madness is sometimes slow, methodical, and the person who is going mad is not aware of it.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah. So I think that's what's done very well here. The one bad day that you're talking about, he had the one bad day and it just kind of started to snowball out of that.
And then it's like, how sane are you really? Because you think you're really sane. You think you've got it all together. You think you have...
You know what other people don't sometimes. Other people don't know what you know.
You have a resilience made of steel and it turns out it's made of straw. Put more than a little weight on it and it collapses. But you think you had resilience made of steel. You think you can handle the weight of somebody like the Joker, and then it turns out you can't.
No, you were going into this with, like you said earlier, hubris.
Yeah.
You went into this thinking that you could do the impossible, and unfortunately, you could not in spectacular fashion. You didn't. So
you are a pig in a blanket to a carnivore like the Joker.
Great way to end it right there. Killer smile. Joker, killer smile. Jeff Lemire did a fantastic job. I will say, I think this is my favorite of the three that we're going to be talking about.
It's my second favorite.
Okay. All right. Then. I can't wait.
The next one is the best.
Really?
Yeah.
I love hearing that. Can't wait to talk about it.
Thanks for joining us. All of this would not be possible without W2Mnet.com, so make sure to seek them out for more podcasts. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please feel free to share, and we look forward to entertaining you again soon.